Everyone, my name is Lindsay, and I'd like to welcome you today to the Nurture Sessions. I'm the perinatal and infant mental health specialist at NHS Talking Therapies, and this is my colleague.
Hi everyone, my name's Laura Prince and I'm a specialist health visitor with Oldham's Early Attachment Service.
Everyone's journey during pregnancy is different. Some people might find it easier to bond with their baby, whilst others might struggle. Whether it is your first or second, third, fourth, or whatever number baby that you have, every experience can be different. And lots of things can interrupt the process of bonding, from how you've conceived to difficulties during pregnancy, things like ill health, poor mental health, concerns about baby's health, and even not enjoying the pregnancy. You might feel like the movements that your baby makes are not comfortable, or you might not enjoy them sensations. You might not like the changes that are happening to your body. You might have external stresses, such as money worries, relationship breakdown, loss, other children to attend to, being homeless. The list can be endless. And all this can impact on the relationship you have with your baby. Then on top of this, there is also a huge pressure from society or your community, or even from your partner perhaps, to be a certain way as a mother. And if you don't fit into this, does this mean you're a bad person? In all my years of working in mental health, I've never come across a mother who hasn't wanted to be the best mum that they can be and who hasn't wanted to do the best for their child. So if life or other things are getting in the way of that bonding experience, the best thing to do is to look at what you have available to help nurture and care for yourself. You cannot pour from an empty cup. So look at how you can refuel. And if this feels tricky, then who is there around to help you? We have some tips to share with bonding with baby and why these can help. But this is not a one size fits all. So just find what works for you. What sort of things would you think about, Laura, if you were thinking about bonding with baby?
I suppose there's many things that we start to think about. Maybe, I guess, think about baby's name. That seems, a really helpful way to sort of recognise it. And it may be, it may be a name that is perhaps not an official name, but something that we really connect with our experience of pregnancy.
Like a nickname?
Yeah, that can be a really lovely way to get a sense of, how it feels to be carrying this, this particular baby, because each pregnancy is so very different.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really important, isn't it? To start to visualize baby and what baby might look like and who baby might be and what their personality might be like, just to have some sort of sense. And obviously that might not be reality, but it's good to start thinking about that, isn't it? And what things are going to look like in terms of once baby's here, and what that might do to the day and how that's going to feel.
And that might be guided by baby's movements, of course. And, as babies start to become, more active, or that awareness is very much there, that can give us a sense of perhaps, how we perceive baby's personality.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And really thinking about what that might mean. I know a lot of parents tell us that they wonder if that might be baby's signs, judging on the movements. And that's really interesting. And maybe something like a pregnancy journal can really help with that, documenting your journey around pregnancy. Yeah.
And there's so much out there now about how babies are developing at different ages and stages, and we've got all sorts of access to information now, haven't we, around that?
Yeah, absolutely, which can be really helpful at times. What do you think of I don't know whether it's a myth, but people used to tell me when I was pregnant that if you listen to Mozart, your baby's going to be a genius.
Yeah, so we know that sort of there's so much going on with babies' development through the experiences of pregnancy, which, may or may not, be in mum's mind. We know babies can hear, for example, from 4 months.
Wow, really?
So sort of, thinking about those experiences, and how baby might like to receive sounds.
Absolutely. And I suppose the most pertinent sound will be mum's voice. So that's going to be a really important thing to continue to speak to baby. And I suppose if people are feeling brave and they have a better singing voice than me, perhaps, even singing with baby might be really nice.
Thinking about how baby might respond to hearing certain sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a real sense of maybe a startle, sometimes a sudden movement as the pregnancy progresses. So that's something that maybe, we can tune into while we're pregnant as well.
Yeah, absolutely. There's lots of weird and wonderful tips, isn't there? I suppose it's finding whatever works for you, and
Absolutely.
we will put some tips up for you. But one of the other things that you can do is these scripts that we're reading from today is you can have and you can read during your pregnancy, and then once baby's here, can continue to read that.
Yeah, and indeed, we think about it being a practice, because if it's something that is a new experience, it's helpful to perhaps spend some time, maybe each day. The golden thread breath in particular can be a really helpful way of just taking some time, and our breath is with us constantly.
Yeah.
So it's a real opportunity to find, could be just 5 minutes, perhaps going to sleep at night, that can be a really helpful, way of beginning to practice something like the golden thread breath. However, if we do practice, it's likely then it can be such a useful tool.
Yeah, it becomes more automatic.
Indeed.
And people tend to think that they should just practice breathing when they're anxious or stressed, but actually if you practice when you're in a calmer space, it's more likely to become automatic, isn't it? So
yeah,
it's really helpful. So we will post some tips, and there'll be other tips out there, but let us know what you do during pregnancy to bond as well.
Would be really interesting to hear.